Hey folks, how's it going? My name is Augie, and I host a podcast called The Short Stories of Augie Peterson. Once upon a time, I had 2 blogs. Then one day, I started listening to podcasts. They seemed like a lot of fun and would combine the thing I was always afraid to share with the world, my writing, with the thing I had no choice but to share, my theater background. So I decided to combine them into a podcast for those millennials that don't have time to read 2 blogs. I read the original short horror stories I write every other Tuesday and review really terrible horror movies from Netflix, Redbox, Amazon Prime, and even the dollar store with massive amounts of snark every other Thursday. On the first Saturday of each month, I tell my listeners about 5 new indie artists that I have interviewed that I think they should know about. So if you like terrible horror movies, learning about new artists, really good horror stories, and total nerds, this is the podcast for you. Check out The Short Stories of Augie Peterson wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, go to augiepeterson.wordpress.com. Toodaloo!
Warning, this podcast contains adult language, dark humor, alcohol consumption, and spooky shit. You've been warned, motherfuckers.
Are you ready to get spooked? Welcome to Coast to Ghost, the paranormal podcast that goes state to state telling the stories that haunt the nation. Drown your fears with an adult beverage as we visit Alaska in this episode. Pants are optional since they might get scared off. We are your coasties. I am Sam from Indiana.
I'm Heather from Ohio.
And I'm Lindsay from Alabama.
Now buckle up, bitches, and enjoy the ride.
I love it!
Yes.
So, Alaska.
It's cold.
Wow. Way to go.
It is goddamn cold here. It's like 30 degrees. I shouldn't be complaining because it was like negative 40 like 2 weeks ago.
I'm not gonna talk.
Yeah, Mrs. 60-degree weather.
Yeah, higher than that, but, you know.
You can fuck right off.
I was just going to say, it's like fighting words right now.
Trust me, like, to be honest, I hate it. I love cold weather, so I live in the wrong state for sure. I don't like
Fucking
all that.
Switch me.
I don't like all that negative 20
Right?
bullshit y'all had. That's too much, but I love, like, an actual winter.
Ugh, you're gross.
I hate summer.
I can take or leave it.
I hate summer.
Okay, so
I do hate summer.
summer is a little too sticky for me.
Yeah.
But I like fall. That's my favorite.
Yeah. I mean,
Spring and fall.
especially here you walk outside and it's like 90% humidity and 98 degrees outside and it's miserable. I hate it. I do like your hair, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It is beautiful.
You do darks very well.
Thank you very much.
know.
I tried to explain that to Jason last night.
No. You want to hear some shit? Like remember when I got the blonde done? Mm-hmm. I loved it. I like straightened it one day. I thought I was looking good. I was wearing my glasses. My coworker said, "You know what? You kind of remind me of Garth right now."
Garth?
Brooks?
Garth?
Garth.
Which Garth? So many Garths.
All the Garths.
Like Wayne's World Garth.
Okay, that's
So
okay.
great.
She said, bro.
I was like, well, fuck you very much.
She comes in with a guitar. She's like, blame it all on my roots.
Oh, my God.
Oh, shit.
So what are you guys drinking tonight? Do we all have pants on, first of all?
Oh.
Yes.
She's like, I don't want to answer.
I do have pants on.
Yeah.
I've got me a glass of red wine here tonight. I was more in the mood for liquor, but I drank it all last night. I didn't have any liquor.
Same.
Whoops.
I am drinking my usual, which is Red's Apple Ale.
Yummy.
Because it's fucking delicious and I can have like 8 or 9 of them and feel fucking wonderful and not have a hangover.
You're looking wonderful. So I went to Party Source with Courtney from Cult of Domesticity podcast. And I was looking at all the cans and different beers and liquors and stuff. And I was like, okay, I need to venture out and try something new. So we went to the ale aisle and I saw one that had a skull on it. Yeah, it's like Nowhere in Particular, batch number 24, Imperial Gose? I don't know what that is. But ale brewed with pink Himalayan sea salt and coriander. And I'm not a beer person, but I'm really digging this. I'm about halfway through it. I actually like it.
Did you Google to find out what coriander was?
Oh, I did not Google it.
It's cilantro.
Also known as cilantro. Yeah.
I fucking love cilantro.
Oh, me too.
I do too.
No wonder I like it.
And did you know that cilantro is also referred to as Chinese parsley?
That makes sense.
What?
Mind's blown. You're learning something new every episode. Now, let's get into our dead talk.
Alrighty. So the place that I chose in lovely Alaska was the Red Onion Saloon.
Oh, shit. Are you serious?
Uh-huh.
Did you choose that too?
Oh, no.
Did you really?
I think she
No,
did.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh my god. I was like, what?
I'm a dick. Go ahead.
I was so like, uh-oh.
All right, so a little background. In 1897, it was during the height of the gold rush, and there was a small town called Skagway, and they pretty much became a stopping point between the miners that were coming from the cities all the way up to the Klondike. So they were able to like search for gold, bring home the big money, all that shit and jazz. So the founder of Skagway, Captain William Moore, he pretty much wanted a place where everybody can go, spend money, bring all the money to the city, and pretty much make a name. So what he did is he started constructing a 2-story building, what was called the Red Onion Saloon. And then that was in 1897, and then they opened for business in 1898. So it was known as one of the best dance halls in Alaska, and it was also known as the best bordello in its time. So downstairs, the customers would drink, they would dance, pretty much all around have a great time. But upstairs, well, there was a reason why it was called a bordello.
What's that? I'm sorry. I'm being naive. I don't know what that is.
You're fine. I have a little note here. So pretty much what a bordello was, and you probably might guess with what their slogan is, our business is your pleasure.
Oh.
Giggity.
Giggity.
Giggity goo. So for those out there who do not know what a bordello is, I looked it up, got the Webster's Dictionary version of this shit. Also known as a brothel, house of ill repute, house of prostitution. You get what I'm saying. So this part of the business, it was ran on the top story, and the way it was constructed, there were 10 cubicles. And by constructed, I mean they were pretty much just separated by single planks of wood. So there was no soundproofing, everybody was in each other's shit, they pretty much saw everything that was going down. So they had another name for these cubicles, which was pretty creepy. They called them cribs. To keep track of his girls and to keep business like moving quickly, pretty much what the bartender had like behind his like desk area, they had 10 dolls that represented each girl. And what would happen is whenever a gentleman picked out a girl, the bartender would take the doll and lay it on its back.
What? Why?
Yes. So they would know that that particular girl was busy.
That's naughty.
I'm so stressed out right now.
So each one of these little cribs or cubicles, they had a tube that would lead down to the cash register. So once the girls were done, they would pretty much send the money down. And once the bartender grabbed it from their particular tube, he would take the doll, sit it back upright, and then send up the next person.
I thought you were going to say they like rode down like a slide. Damn, I'm so disappointed.
She built it up so great, and then it just wasn't satisfying. Anticlimactic. That's what that was.
So some of the girls who worked in the cribs, they all had pretty amazing names. I'll let you know that right now. So there was Birdie Ash, there was Bid Desi, there was Popcorn Lil.
Like, does she pop in the bed? Like, what is she doing?
Why? Why though?
There was Bab Davenport, which is one of the tamer names.
Right.
P. Hull Annie.
What?
Like P-E-A, P. Hull, H-U-L-L, Annie.
They just picked up random shit off the floor and said, "This is my name."
I think so too, yeah.
Like whatever was left over in the restaurant at the end of the night. They're like, Ice Cube Tammy.
And then there was Klondike Kate.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then
What would
Kitty
you do
Faith.
for a Klondike cake?
And then last but not least was Kitty Faith, but she was also known as the Belle of Skagway.
Oh, good for her.
So in 1899, business started to decline, and a lot of the business were kind of closing up, and a lot of the girls were moving up north to find work. So in 1914, it got so bad that they actually hooked up the Red Onion Saloon to like a horse trailer, and they pulled it towards the railroad tracks to try to pull in more business from the railroad station.
Wait. Can you do that? Can you just, like, attach a building to a horse and move it?
That's what it said.
Okay.
So pretty much, unfortunately, even though they had moved it, they were trying to get business, it never worked out. So during World War II, the saloon actually was used as Army barracks. And then after the Army barracks, it became a laundry house. After the laundry house, it became a bakery. After the bakery, it became a union hall. After the union hall, it became a television station. And then last but not least, it became a gift shop. So in 1980, a woman by the name of Jen Rentmore, she decided to buy the building, and she reopened the saloon as a restaurant/museum. So pretty much she was able to buy that building, preserve pretty much everything in it, as well as, like, you know, when they had the cubicles, they really had, like, no room of their own and everything. So the girls would, like, put pictures and put wallpaper up, kind of make it their own. You can still see that if you go there today.
That's cool.
Oh,
She has everything preserved. And downstairs is a restaurant, and I was looking up some of the names. I looked up the menu. They have something called a menage a trois. They have...
Yum!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of different things that they do there. They actually also have where each one of their girls in the museum, they would dress in period clothing, and then $5 equals 15 minutes. They would take them on a tour.
Do they still have tubes? Do you pay the cashier for your food in the tubes?
I think they took the tubes down. I'm sorry. So now it's time for the lovely spooky shit. So pretty much the whole town of Skagway is considered haunted, especially because it was a big gold rush town, and of course people were batshit crazy and always killing each other over the gold. So pretty much that whole town has some sort of paranormal activity that's linked to it. But when people see Skagway, they always think of the Red Onion Saloon as the most haunted place in Skagway. A lot of the times, the male employees, they will never go up to the second floor. So whenever they go up to the second floor, they feel like a menacing female presence that pretty much just says, no fucking way, get your shit and go. They never feel comfortable going to the second floor. Now, the female employees, when they go to the second floor, they don't really feel anything. They feel like a more calming presence. They feel like they're protected when they go up there. So they're wondering if maybe it's the old madam that's the ghost on the second floor, more or less protecting the female employees, and pretty much thinking that all the male employees are like shitbags and just don't want anything to do with them.
Sounds accurate.
So on the first floor in the bar area, people have seen like the actual glasses move from one side of the bar to the other, and nobody has been around it. Upstairs, you hear more like, well, I guess it could be because I hear sounds of like heels walking across the floor. And one night, the disturbances got so loud that they actually called the police to come in because they thought somebody had broken in. And when the police had shown up, they went to the stairs, and some of the officers claimed that they saw a shadow figure running down the hallway and turn into a room that was once the former madam's room. And they're like, fuck that, got out of there. There are others that claim that there is a hostile male spirit that's back on the first floor. They've been known to feel somebody roughly pushing against them, and they would move things that the employees would need, such as alcohol bottles and keys, pretty much making it impossible then for them to do their job. Now, the most common spirit that they've seen, now she's gone by 2 different names. I've seen more mention of Lydia, but she's also been called Diamond Lil. She is the former madam. Now, some people have seen an apparition of a woman in a long dress with a scar on her face that's been known to walk the halls. And so with the scar, they pretty much only gave it to women of ill repute who were carrying syphilis. So Lydia was known to have a scar, and she was the former madam. So when they saw her, they put 2 and 2 that it was her. So pretty much what she would do, there's 2 different claims of what would happen. Some say that she would walk the halls and go through the motions like she was watering the plants, but in certain areas there would be no plants. A former hostess who actually quit said that she was going to the 2nd floor to an area where there were plants so she can water them. And when she got there, the soil was already damp, like somebody had already had watered those particular flowers.
Oh, she's like taking care of them, though. I mean,
Yeah.
And I wonder too if like the fact that she had the scar, because if they also thought that she was the one who was being hostile towards the men who came upstairs, but friendly towards the women, if she was like mad because she got syphilis and got branded, so to speak, and that's why she acted that way towards the men and the women.
I can believe it, especially because back then they really didn't care about those women, and they would bring diseases and they really wouldn't care.
Yeah, it shows you how much they cared about them. Like, they had no respect for them at all, especially, like, with the whole doll thing. Like, we were laughing about it at the beginning, but if you think about it, it's a huge sign of disrespect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely. I just hate that. So, I mean, sex workers.
Poor sex workers.
They just have such a bad rap. They do what they do to survive, and...
But yeah, it is. It's like the oldest profession in the book. Honestly, it's your body. You should be able to do what you want with it. And I feel like if it was legalized, women would be safer.
It's consensual.
Exactly.
Another story about the former Madame Lydia is how she makes herself only known to male guests. There's been some claims that she would gently run her hands along their legs and whisper softly into their ears.
Get it, girl. Get it, ghoul.
Pretty much that's all I have about it. I mean, I couldn't find any EVPs on it, which I'm kind of sad, but I would love to go there, especially to take a tour of the museum.
I was going to say, you can go there today, currently, right? And tour it?
Yes, it is still open today. You can go on the tour. You can go to the restaurant. They even have these little things, like, I legit wish they can buy them online, but they're called tokens, and pretty much it would say 15 minutes in heaven or something like that. Apparently, like, brothel tokens were a thing, to where high-paying customers would get these little tokens, and then they would just go in, hand them the token, and then they could pretty much have the night of their life.
Wow.
I did see a lot of articles about a lot of shootouts, a lot of murders, but nothing really pertaining to any of the girls there. So
but it makes me wonder, though, like, even if something had happened to her there, would they have even covered it in news? But they kind of, they don't get the coverage they deserve even today. So surely back then, would anybody have even known? You next.
Am I next?
Heather.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, boy. About a beer in. Let's see how this goes. Oh, luckily this is my short story, though. Okay, so for my story, it's Night Mute High School in Alaska. And every time I Googled this to try to find articles, I kept typing Night Mule. Don't ask me why.
Working on the night moves.
So mine is Night Mute High School in Alaska. Alaska is well known for being one of the most sparsely populated states, and it's referred to as America's last frontier.
I thought that was Star Trek. That's what Sorry.
So my story comes from a list of the top 9 most haunted places in Alaska, and I almost chose number 7 because it was so interesting to me. So I figured I'd give you guys like a little tidbit about that one real quick. So number 7 on that list was Fairbanks Memorial Hospital.
I looked at that one.
Did you?
Yeah.
See, it's like it pops up everywhere. I was like, I have to say something about it. And it said that whenever an infant patient is close to death, mysterious spirits appear in the nursery wing of that hospital. I know. Oh, it's sad. Nurses from the hospital have suggested that these are angels sent to guide the children to the next life.
Oh, bless.
Mm-hmm. They are generally perceived to be good spirits, which is good. But other strange phenomena include plunging temperatures and the sound of babies crying coming from an empty room.
Oh.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's talk about that for a minute. What the fuck would you do if you were in a hospital and all of a sudden you witnessed spirits in the infant wing, but didn't see anything else, no real people, and you could hear crying?
And then
like no fucking...
I'd be crying like a little bitch.
Yeah, no fucking
and once
thank
you've
you.
caught on and you know what it is, you're probably panicking because if you see the spirit, you know that somebody's about to lose their baby, you know?
Yeah, that's like the eerie part about it, I think,
that's
is because you can see, it's like you can see death coming at that point. So I guess now that we're all freaked out about baby demon spirits, it's time to move on to the story we're here for, right?
Yes.
Fun thing about this place, it was number 3 on the top 9 most haunted places, and 3 is my favorite number, so there you go. You always hear how high school is like the greatest time of someone's life, right? People talk about how much fun they had, and they grew into the person they were meant to be, and they met their true loves, and they played sports and all that stupid bullshit that never happens in their life.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, there we go.
But if you went to Night Mute High School, I can almost guarantee that your experience was much different than theirs. So at Night Mute, one girl often appears lonely and sad. She keeps to herself mostly, but sometimes comes out to play. So... Before I jump into the story of the girl, here's some interesting information about that area. So, Night Mute, Alaska is very small. It's a town of about 208 residents.
Oh, wow.
And it's
That's small.
Located on Nelson Island in Toksuk Bay. I don't know where that is, but somebody does. Night Mute was the setting for the movie Insomnia with Hilary Swank, Robin Williams, and Al Pacino. And though the movie was set in Night Mute, it was actually shot in British Columbia. So number 3, Night Mute High School. So I thought one of the articles I found was right on the money when they depicted what the spirits were like. The article compares the paranormal activity to that of Moaning Myrtle and Harry Potter.
Boom, bitches.
I did this for you guys.
You don't even know who the fuck that is.
I know who she is. She's about
she had to
the
Google
only
it.
one I know, though. So... Everyone knows Moaning Myrtle from Harry Potter, the teenage schoolgirl doomed to haunt the school bathroom where she died. Night Mute High School in Alaska has its very own version of that ghost. So it's said that the little girl haunts the school's bathrooms, and she's known to flush toilets and flick the lights on and off in both bathrooms, boys and girls. However, one key element that sets her apart from Moaning Myrtle is that she's not confined to the bathroom. So she... roams the hallways, makes noises, does weird shit. She mostly stays in classroom 106, but students and staff have seen her wandering the hallways and humming. Additionally, she's been seen playing with basketballs if they're left lying around in the gym. And then, although nobody actually knows who she is, there's a grave found underneath classroom 106, which explains the hauntedness of it. And that's not a word, I know, I'm sorry. But because there's nothing else about this girl. Nobody knows who she is, when she died, nothing. They just know that they found her grave underneath that classroom.
So is it built on like a cemetery or something, or?
The way I interpreted it from the 4 articles that I went to, yeah, I had to count them, is that something happened to her while she was attending school there. And she was killed, and they buried her underneath that classroom to hide her, and now she haunts the school.
Huh.
But I feel like somebody would know if their kid just, like, randomly disappeared and was murdered, right?
Yeah.
Or didn't show up to class the next day. It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I told you guys that one was short.
So... I have the story of the Wendell Williamson Auditorium at the University of Alaska, and the auditorium is nicknamed the Windy because of his name, Wendell. And the theater is said to be haunted by several ghosts, actually. So basically, a little bit of backstory about the guy who it's named after. Wendell Williamson was a professor of music with the Anchorage Community College and the University of Alaska in Anchorage. And he taught music and private piano lessons. And everybody loved him. He was a super kind man. He was friendly, and he had a really good sense of humor. So after he died, they named the auditorium after him. He was born in 1923, but he passed away in 88 after a long battle with cancer. So as far as the auditorium itself, it's thought to be haunted by 6 different ghosts. So that's a lot. And they even had a psychic come in at one point, and the psychic explored the auditorium, and she said that the hauntings are basically thriving on the raw emotional energy that comes from the people in the theater. So basically saying that the people who perform in the shows, the artists, the musicians, whatever, the energy that they bring when they're kind of in their element doing their thing are feeding the spirits there, basically. So let's talk about the 6 different ghosts that are in there. There is one who is a male musician, and a lot of people think that it is Wendell Williamson himself. And this ghost, he can be heard playing the piano. So there are several occurrences of people working there at night or people there during rehearsals for shows, and they hear somebody out in the lobby playing the piano, and they'll go out there and there's no one there. And also there is a painting of Wendy Williamson, and every time they hang it up, they will come in the next day and it's on the ground face down. And they cannot get it to stay up. And no matter what they try...
There's a little blue pill for that.
Viagra.
Hate it when that happens. And the ironic part about that is during his life, he hated that portrait. Like, somebody came in and painted it, and he always hated it. So they think that it's him trying to take it down because he doesn't like it. And it doesn't happen with anything else, just that picture. So that's one of the spirits. The next one is a shadowy man, and that's really the only description of him. And this guy just loves a good performance, and he just kind of leans backstage and listens. There is also a woman in white, and she has been seen hovering on the stage, gathering the attention of the audience. So some wonder if she was maybe like a performer there, and something happened to her and she still wants to be on the stage. And then there is a teenage male, and he seems to be a very kind spirit, and he usually brings a sense of comfort to everyone. So people who get jitters before shows, for whatever reason, he just kind of calms their nerves. And then there is a little girl. She is thought to be 8 or 9 years old, and people have seen her near spotlights, but they also hear her kind of running around and giggling like she's playing.
Like a creepy little asshole?
Yeah. Yeah, they say that she's never harmed anyone, and she seems like she's just having a good time, but that's super creepy.
We have this place called The Cave. It's somewhere in Ohio.
Lewisburg Haunted Cave?
The Cave in Ohio?
Cave?
Yeah. It's like you go 20 or 30 feet down. It's like all dark, but there's this one area, and it's like this little girl is in the door, and then there's like a bunch of flashing lights. Next thing you know, she is on the floor crawling up to you.
No crawling.
Remember the crawling talk we had?
No crawling.
Not okay.
You can't crawl, you can't giggle. Sorry.
Those are my 2 bugaboos. Just don't do it.
And then the 6th one is a man who appears to have issues with brunettes. So basically, it's the ghost of Ted Bundy.
I was just going to say that.
And during a beauty pageant, he actually pushed one of the contestants, and nobody knew what was going on. They all saw it. She just flew forward all of a sudden, which doesn't happen. And the next day, she had red marks in the shape of a hand on her back. And she's not the only one who's been pushed. It's happened lots of times, but that was the most public one where people could actually see it. But whatever it is, he does not like brunettes. And most of the time, if he does something, he shows himself in the lighting booth. So if you're in the lighting booth and you're a brunette, watch out for this guy. So not knowing which spirit did what, certain things that have happened in the auditorium are props have flown off of furniture, stage lights have randomly exploded, they've had random shadows sliding across walls, and then they've also heard footsteps. On 3 different occasions, women have tried to get out of the door of the handicapped bathroom, and when they tried to open the door, somebody on the other side would slam it shut. So something with that handicapped stall, it would just be slammed shut. The 2 stories that freaked me out the most is one night they were about to go on stage. There was a play that they were doing, and one of the actors, there was actually a coffin backstage that was supposed to be used during the show. And it's just a prop. And this actor goes up to it and goes to open it, and all of the other actors are standing backstage with him, and they're going to open it before they push it out on stage. And as soon as they open it, all these props on a table behind them just flew off the table.
I'm out. I'm not doing the show tonight.
Yeah. There's your sign. Don't maybe have a coffin. And then this one was the worst. This one really creeped me out. That same show, after the stuff flew off the table, they put on the performance, and there's a bunch of kids out in the audience, and they're there on a school trip. And at the end of the show, they did a Q&A session with the kids, and they're like, ask us anything about theater, whatever. And this one kid raises his hand, and he says, hey, at the end of the play, how did you make the lady in the white dress float above your heads?
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
And the director just said, no more questions. Because he knew exactly what it was. And he was like, we did not have anyone in the show in a white dress. We didn't do that. But he knew exactly who it was. And he just said, next question. And so apparently all these kids saw a woman in white floating above the actors in the play.
It's always the kids. They're the creepy little fuckers. I swear to God. Like, either they're the haunting little assholes, or they're the ones that see the haunting little assholes.
If they're not crawling and giggling, they're seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today, we went and saw The Prodigy. You guys have to see that, and then we'll talk about it, because it's fucked up, and kids, no, not having them. Not doing it.
Mom said that she actually went to go see that last night. She said she really didn't like it.
It's weird. I like it because it's like, I can't even tell you why, because you guys haven't seen it yet, but I like it because of the psychological aspect of it, and I guess the way you find the things out in the movie, it's like you connect the dots yourself, and then you're like, oh shit, I was right. That kind of thing. That's what I like about those type of movies. But creepy little bastard. I don't like him.
No, and really that's it. But it's still standing today. They still have performances there, and they don't know why it's a hot spot for all these spirits, because when the auditorium was built, they said that some of it was happening like as soon as it was built. So it's not like things happened
while
after the fact.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of automatically started. So they don't know if it was the ghost of Wendy was there when he died, and just kind of the other ones kind of fed off of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
that's weird. And where exactly in Alaska was this again? I'm sorry.
University of Alaska at Anchorage.
Anchorage, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for mine.
All right, coasters, put your pants back on and sober up, because next time we're digging up the ghosts in Arizona. See you soon. Bye.